then you're also looking at heavyweights.
Right.
One of the things about Ali is because he was so skilled, the one thing you forget about him is he was also intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
He's not gonna just bull rush you like Joe Frazier does.
Right.
He's not just gonna come and try to body you, and he's not gonna do that. He's got to do it tactically, and I think that's one of the things that makes him that people underrate is how intelligent he was. Some of that banter and that ranting and raging and the taunting and all those things that he did to people were to get those people to act out of character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you there.
I really want to. That's some of what he did, and that a master tactician. I believe that Ali on his best day against Joe Louis on his best day, that Ali wipes the floor with him.
Now, see, that's where I definitely disagree. I don't think there's a chance that Ali wipes the floor with him. I
do.
I think that he could get a decision. I mean, you talk about hand speed. Ali's got slight advantage of hand speed.
Sure about that?
Yeah, I would say slight. Looking at the Joe Louis. I mean, Joe Louis had amazing hand speed, and I've read many.
He had amazing hand speed for his time.
For any time period. I mean,
amazing hand speed.
I read something just the other day that
Joe Louis in Ali's time. I don't think he's 69-3. If he fights in the 60s, 70s, early 80s.
All right, I mean, that's something Ali, as far as comparing against eras, Ali clearly went against the greatest era of all time, but I would say Louis went against probably the second greatest era for heavyweights. I mean, you talk about the names that Ali beat, we're talking Foreman, Holmes, he lost to Larry Holmes, but that was well past his prime, should not have been fighting that fight. You want to talk about Foreman, Sonny Liston, Frazier, but then the names that Louis took out were the greatest for his time, also top 25 fighters, top 50 fighters, Max Schmeling, Max Baer. You want to talk about wiping the floor with somebody. Joe Louis absolutely wiped the floor with Max Baer, who was considered, one of the best at that time, him and Louis.
He got knocked out by Max Schmeling.
Louis?
Yes.
Yes, he got knocked out by Max Schmeling. All right.
Something you can't say about Ali. That's one of my knocks on. He never got knocked out. And here's the thing. Outside of really the Holmes fight and later on in the career, we're talking about Muhammad Ali's career. I personally like to end it after Manila. Yes, he fought on, but after Ali Frazier 3 pretty much was the end of both of their careers, and they should have. I mean, HBO does a great documentary on that, but that was the end of both of their careers.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the third Norton fight was actually after the Thrilla in Manila, which I think a lot of people don't realize.
Right.
But you're right, if they had both hung it up after that fight, maybe Ali wouldn't be in the state he is, maybe Joe Frazier wouldn't be the real-life version of Stinkmeaner from the Boondocks. But, I mean, any great athlete has that trouble. You look at Brett Favre, I mean, what he did to his body last year.
Let's not talk about that guy.
I think we've all had about enough of Brett Favre for an eternity.
You really look. The one thing I love about Ali is when he did lose, he always avenged the fight. He always avenged.
That's the other thing I was going to bring up about Schmeling. Schmeling, Joe Louis, and actually a very Muhammad Ali type way, overlooked Schmeling. Schmeling was 30 years old. A lot of people thought he was past his prime. Louis spent more time on the golf course than he did in the gym preparing for that fight. Schmeling had told people that he liked his chances. He thought he had found a weakness in Louis's game, and he did. Louis dropped his left hand after throwing a jab, and then Schmeling would throw his own jab and then crush him with an overhand right, and that's how he won the fight. And even still, we're talking that fight went 12 rounds before he put Louis down, and then they do the rematch, and that's what people have already seen, the knockout of the day. He absolutely destroyed Schmeling. It was first round. It didn't go 2 minutes. He knocked him down 3 times in the first round, and then finally stayed down on the third knockdown.
I just think overall, when you're talking Ali, I think the biggest thing to sum up his career, when you sum up why he's the greatest, and it sounds so cliche, everybody knows where I'm going. the Jungle.
Mm-hmm.
That's the greatest. He's maybe the most feared puncher of all time. Not only did he not only did he knock him out, he let him punch him for 8 rounds.
Yeah.
Sat on the ropes and let him. He will find a way to win, and that's the thing. His footwork had begun to deteriorate. He wasn't the same. Totally, he will find a way to win the fight.
Right.
Okay? And that was, to me, as far as I'm concerned, that was still past his prime. But in his prime, the footwork, I mean, it was just brilliant.
Well, here's my thing about
version of Sugar Ray.
Now I see a lot of what you're saying about. Well, first off, let me mention one thing. I think you're underestimating Lewis's power. Ring Magazine does.
No. We don't underestimate his power.
Well, Lewis, just throw this out there. Ring Magazine has Joe Louis as the greatest puncher of all time as far as power goes. I mean, above Tyson, above Foreman. I mean, of any weight class. I mean, not just heavyweight.
I would